I went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I took care of a chore. I went to a church event. I watched a horror show. I watched some pro wrestling. AEW, shout out to CM Punk. The Urantia book. The Spirit of Bestowal, Section 5, Paper 7. Paper 7 is relation of the eternal Son to the universe. Section 5, the Spirit of Bestowal. The eternal Son, so just any paragraph in here. The eternal Son in the Urantia book. The Urantia book. The eternal Son comes not, this is the Urantia book. The eternal Son comes not to mortal man as the divine will, the thought adjuster indwelling the human mind, but the eternal Son did come to mortal man on Urantia when the divine personality of his son, Michael of Nebadon, incarnated in the human nature of Jesus of Nazareth. The eternal Son comes not to mortal man as the divine will, the thought adjuster indwelling the human mind, but the eternal Son has come to mortal man on Urantia with the divine personality of his son, myself, incarnated in the human nature as myself. The eternal Son comes not to mortal man as the divine will, the thought adjuster indwelling the human mind, but the eternal Son did come to mortal man on Urantia with both Michael of Nebadon as Jesus of Nazareth, the first incarnation bestowal of a paradise son here on this sphere, Urantia, and myself, I, as the second bestowal son here on Urantia, a magisterial avonal son here on Urantia. I am currently in a bestowal mission myself as a male child born of woman. As a magisterial avonal son, Michael of Nebadon, Jesus of Nazareth, is a creator son. The important points here are the divine coming as the divine will in the first half of that sentence was the thought adjusters, the spirit of the universal Father in each normal-minded human being, one-on-one relationship, a spirit from the Father, the first person of the Trinity, the universal Father, to a mortal, one-on-one relationship. Each mortal gets one of these spirits of the universal Father in his mind. That's the divine will in man, the thought adjusters. Big topic in the Urantia book, of course. It's very pertinent to human evolutionary well-beings. That's why it's covered much in the Urantia book. The second part of that sentence there, in the Urantia book, Michael of Nebadon is the local universe creator, ruler, and now sovereign because he lived his life as Jesus of Nazareth, the seventh bestowal amongst the creatures of his own making. After Michael of Nebadon's life as Jesus of Nazareth, Michael of Nebadon was given sovereignty of his local universe of Nebadon. That's I'm paraphrasing the Urantia book, but that's basically the idea, I think. A creator son is made by the first two persons of the Trinity, the universal Father and the eternal Son are the names. The first two members of the Trinity are given in the Urantia book. And magisterial sons, such as myself, I'm made by the second two persons of the Trinity, the eternal Son and the infinite Spirit. The infinite Spirit is the name given to the third person of the Trinity in the Urantia book. The eternal Son has come to mortal man on Urantia as myself, as a divine personality, me incarnated in the human nature, to share as a magisterial avonal son, to share the experience of created personalities. The paradise sons of God must assume the very natures of such creatures, natures of such creatures and incarnate their divine personalities as the actual creatures themselves. To share the experience of created personalities, I must assume the very nature of Urantians and incarnate my divine personality as a Urantian. To share the experience of human evolutionary will beings here on Urantia, I must assume the very nature of a Urantian as a male child born of woman and incarnate my divine personality as a human evolutionary will being here on Urantia. So to share the experience of created personality, the paradise sons of God, including the creator sons, including Michael of Nebadon, who bestowed himself on this world as Jesus of Nazareth, myself as a magisterial Havona son, currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia. I, him, others, there's 1,062 of us Havonals in Nebadon. The book says so. So all 10 million potential inhabited worlds in Nebadon, eventually 10 million inhabited worlds similar to this world Urantia, will be created in this local universe of Nebadon. Right now, there's like 3.6 million worlds in some evolutionary stage here in Nebadon. I believe the number is something like that, approximately, closely to that. Yes, and every single one of those worlds will receive a bestowal son. One bestowal son, meaning one magisterial Havona son as a male child born of woman on each of those other 9,999,999 planets. This is the one planet in all of Nebadon where the creator son will bestow himself, and he did so as Jesus of Nazareth. That is sort of the story in the Urantia book. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but that's generally what the Urantia book is saying. So to share the experience of created personalities throughout all of Nebadon, I must assume the very natures of the human evolutionary will beings on any planet in Nebadon where I personally make a bestowal mission, do a bestowal mission, live a human evolutionary will being life on any of those planets, these planets in Nebadon. When I do that prior to my current bestowal right now, and after this bestowal that I'm living right now, after my life in the flesh is complete, somewhere after that, I will continue to do magisterial Havona bestowals on various worlds in Nebadon. And I assume the very nature of the human evolutionary will beings that are on that particular sphere, as I'm doing right now here on Urantia, as a human evolutionary will being, as a male child born of woman. Incarnation, the secret of Sonarrington, is the technique of the sun's escape from the otherwise all-encompassing fetters of personality absolutism. I don't know. There's a line in the Urantia book. What the line in the Urantia book, I'm paraphrasing, but the line in the Urantia book is basically what the thought adjusters are to the universal Father, the first person of the Trinity, what the thought adjusters are to him. The creator son, the magisterial son bestowals and the creator son once bestowal, but the human bestowals of the creator sons and the magisterial sons, such as myself, those bestowals mean the same thing to the eternal Son as what the thought adjusters mean to the universal Father. There's a line in the Urantia book like that. I'm paraphrasing. So that's what this sentence is getting at. So for the eternal Son, the eternal Son cannot fragment in the sense that the universal Father, the first person of the Trinity, can, and the third person of the Trinity, the infinite Spirit, can fragment. I'm just using the word fragment, but it's a big topic in the Urantia book, what it means. But I'm just summarizing or paraphrasing. The eternal Son cannot do that. So his means of escaping from unfettered absolutism, something like that, whatever that sentence said, is by bestowal incarnations. The Urantia book, I don't know if it's come up yet. It probably already came up. It's probably earlier in paper 6 or something. But the eternal Son himself bestowed himself 7 times in Havona, the central universe of perfection. There's a little story about this in the Urantia book. The firstborn Michael son bestowed himself 7 times in Havona. They don't say specifically where. They give a little bit of detail about the bestowals, but they don't say specifically where in Havona. I don't think. I'm pretty sure they don't. And so then after that, other bestowals by creator sons and or magisterial sons, such as myself, allow the eternal Son, the second person of deity, to escape the absolute fetters of absolutism, something like that, whatever it says there. So, because the eternal Son does not fragmentize in the sense that the first and the third persons of the Trinity do. Well, here's that sentence right after that. It says, long ago, this is the Urantia book, the eternal Son bestowed himself upon each of the circuits of the central creation for the enlightenment and advancement of all the inhabitants and pilgrims of Havona. So there's quite a bit of an explanation about all this here. So in spirit, this is the Urantia book again. In spirit and nature, if not in all attributes, each paradise son is a divinely perfect portraiture of the original Son. So in spirit and nature, if not in all attributes, I am a divinely perfect portraiture of the original Son. In spirit and nature, if not in all attributes, I, as a magisterial Havona son, currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia, am a divinely perfect portraiture of the original Son, the eternal Son, the second person of the Trinity. It is literally true. This is the Urantia book again. It is literally true. Whoever has seen a paradise son has seen the eternal Son of God. It is literally true. Whoever has seen me has seen the eternal Son of God. It is literally true. Whoever has seen me as a magisterial Havona son, and I am currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia, has seen the eternal Son of God. So it is literally true. Any human evolutionary will being here on Urantia, currently alive, who has seen me as a magisterial Havona son, currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia, has seen the eternal Son of God. Boy. Section 6 is the Paradise Sons of God. Man, I might skip some of this. All right, the Father, Son, and Spirit also unite to personalize the versatile Trinity teacher sons who range the grand universe as the supernal teachers of all personalities, human and divine. So, yes, amongst the Paradise Sons of God are the Creator Sons. That would be the primary order in this particular grouping of the order of this particular group of sons of God. The Creator Sons would be the primary. The magisterial Havona sons, such as myself, would be the secondary, and the Trinity teacher sons would be the tertiary in this particular grouping of the sons of God. And so the parents of the Trinity teacher sons are all 3 members of the Trinity. There was something earlier about divine prerogatives lesson with after the Trinity. After the Trinity makes beings, the divine prerogatives given to them or of them, lessons or diminutes becomes diminutive to some degree. Diminutes is probably not a word, but diminishes, whatever, to some degree, whatever. They talk about this. So just that the eternal Son is the drawing power for all spirit energy. There's a discussion in this about the book, about this in the Urantia book. I don't know if they use the word drawing power, but the eternal Son is the focalizing center point for spirit gravity. And then so as far as qualities that are given to beings created by the Trinity, the Creator Son, Michael of Nebanon, as Jesus of Nazareth. In the Bible, it says something about, I will draw all men unto me. I think the Bible quote is something like, if I am lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. Something like that is the Bible statement. He does make a statement like that in the Urantia book. I don't know if it's exactly that, but it's something similar or close or whatever. Creator sons have drawing power for human evolutionary will beings to draw them to themselves and to perfection. So Michael of Nebanon would be drawing human evolutionary will beings to himself, in the sense of a human evolutionary will being dies, leaves this sphere, goes to the mansion worlds, eventually achieves Salvington, the capital of Nebanon, meets Michael of Nebanon, Jesus of Nazareth, meets him in whatever fashion that means, and then moves on from there to become a finaliter on Paradise. So that's the plan anyway. So Michael of Nebanon, Jesus of Nazareth, has drawing power. So that's an attribute that's, I suppose it's not quite the same in Michael of Nebanon as it is in the Eternal Son, the second person of the Trinity. The Urantia book says, magisterial Havona sons, such as myself, have this drawing power towards human evolutionary will beings. So I draw human evolutionary will beings towards myself in some fashion, in terms of the drawing power, in terms of the betterment of character of human evolutionary will beings, in terms of human evolutionary will beings, you, me, any human evolutionary will being who moves on from this sphere and goes on to a perfect moral character and moves on to become a finaliter eventually. I have drawing power in that regard as a spirit being, as a magisterial Havona spirit being. Even now, as a human evolutionary will being, it doesn't matter, but I have that same type of drawing power for the betterment of human evolutionary will beings to grow towards moral perfection in terms of becoming a finaliter. Whatever that means in the overall. Whatever that means in the overall. Trinity teacher sons do not have this drawing power over human evolutionary will beings. The Urantia book says that. So the Urantia book again, the Eternal Son not only has at all times perfect knowledge concerning the status, thoughts, and manifold activities of all orders of paradise sonship, but he also has perfection of knowledge at all times regarding everything of spiritual value, which exists in the hearts of all creatures in the primary central creation of eternity and in the secondary time creations of the coordinate creator sons. So the Eternal Son has at all times perfect knowledge concerning the status, thoughts, and manifold activities of myself as a paradise son of God, as a magisterial Havona son. And he also has perfection of knowledge at all times regarding everything of spiritual value, which exists in the hearts of all creatures in Havona, and in the grand universe, the creation of the coordinate creator sons, such as Michael of Nebanon, who bestowed himself on this world as Jesus of Nazareth. Section 7, the supreme revelation of the Father. The primal Son and his sons are engaged in making a universal revelation of the spiritual and personal nature of the Father to all creation. The primal Son and myself are engaged in making a universal revelation of the spiritual and personal nature of the Father to Urantia. The primal Son, meaning the eternal Son, the second person of the Trinity, and his sons, all creator sons, all magisterial avonal sons, all Trinity teacher sons, including myself as a magisterial avonal son who happens to be currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia as a male child born of woman. We are all engaged in making a universal revelation of the spiritual and personal nature of the Father. Me specifically, I'm making a universal revelation of the spiritual and personal nature of the first person of the Trinity, the universal Father, to Urantia and Urantians. Again, the Urantia book. In the central universe, the super universes, the local universes, or on the inhabited planets, it is a paradise son who reveals the universal Father to men and angels. In the central universe, the super universes, the local universes, or on the inhabited planets, I reveal the universal Father to men and angels. Man. In the central universe, the super universes, the local universe, or on the inhabited planet, it is a paradise son, such as Michael of Nebadon, who was here as Jesus of Nazareth, or on any of the 7 trillion human evolutionary will-being planets that will eventually be made, that are in the making, are made, or eventually will be made, are in light and life, or in some stage of evolutionary progress, all 7 trillion of the human evolutionary will-being planets in the grand universe, human evolutionary will-being planets similar to this planet Urantia. All of them. For all of those planets, it is a paradise son, such as a creator son or a magisterial avonal son, such as myself, who reveals the universal Father to men and angels, specifically seraphim. Seraphim are the order of angels that are common to a human evolutionary will-being planet. That is another topic, big topic in the Urantia book about seraphim. The eternal Son and his sons reveal the avenue of creature approach to the universal Father. The eternal Son and myself reveal the avenue of creature approach to the universal Father. The eternal Son and myself, as a magisterial avonal son, currently on a bestowal mission here on Urantia as a male child born of woman, reveal the avenue of creature approach to the universal Father, the first person of the Trinity. The eternal Son and all of his paradise sons of the particular grouping of sons, meaning the creator sons, the magisterial avonal sons, such as myself, and the Trinity teacher sons, reveal the avenue of creature approach to the universal Father, the first person of the Trinity. And even we of high origin, so this is the author here is a divine counselor who comes from paradise. That is the author of this paper. So he is saying in the Urantia book, and even we, this is the divine counselor speaking in the Urantia book, in his paper, paper 7. And even we of high origin understand the Father much more fully as we study the revelation of his character and personality in the eternal Son and in the sons of the eternal Son. And even this particular divine counselor and those of high origin, other divine counselors and those of high origin, understand the Father much more fully as they study the revelation of his character and personality in the eternal Son and in myself. And even divine counselors and other beings of high origin understand the universal Father, the first person of the Trinity, much more fully as they study the revelation of the first person's character, the first person, the universal Father's character and personality in the eternal Son, the second person of the Trinity, and in myself as a magisterial avonal son. I am a son of the eternal Son, and Michael of Nebadon as Jesus of Nazareth, and the other 1,061 magisterial avonal sons here in the universe of Nebadon, and all the creator sons and magisterial sons in the entire grand universe of 7 super universes. 7 super universes makes up the grand universe. This is a topic in the Urantia book. Anyway, Indicted by a divine counselor assigned to formulate this statement depicting the eternal Son of Paradise. That is the last sentence in paper 7. Paper 8, the infinite spirit. The initial section, section 0, before section 1. So 8:0.3, paragraph 3, for example. The Urantia book. We are now face to face with the eternity origin of the infinite spirit, the third person of deity, the very instant that God the Father and God the Son conjointly conceive an identical and infinite action, the execution of an absolute thought plan. That very moment, the infinite spirit springs full-fledgedly into existence. So, lovely sentence here in the Urantia book. Fairly easy to understand, I would say, this part of the book in terms of the information, the ideas put forth here in the Urantia book. Fairly easy to understand, well worth reading, well worth knowing the truth, the big picture about the Trinity. The Urantia book will say that the Universal Father, with his creation of the eternal Son, the second person of the Trinity, also sprang into being paradise, the abode of the Trinity, the gods, and many, many other beings, of course. And then with the creation of the third person of the Trinity by the first two members of the Trinity, the Universal Father and the Eternal Son, make the third person of the Trinity, the Infinite Spirit. And with the creation of the Infinite Spirit, sprang into existence Havona, the perfect creation of 1 billion perfect planets in 7 circuits surrounding paradise. Section 1 in paper 8, the God of Action. So they'll use various terms, well, not a lot, but a few different terms to title or describe or give a name to the third person of the Trinity, the Infinite Spirit, so the God of Action. They like to use the idea of action in terms of giving a name to the Infinite Spirit or a title to the Infinite Spirit, just because the third person of the Trinity is the actionizer. That's not a word, but he's the actionizer. He's the doer. He's the synthesis. He's the doer for the first two members of the Trinity. So the first two members of the Trinity do all their deeds, actions. They live through the Infinite Spirit. The Infinite Spirit is the mechanism, personal mechanism, whereby the first two members of the Trinity do their action. I would say. I think the Urantia book is kind of saying that. I'm paraphrasing some ideas in the Urantia book. So any paragraph in here, section 1. So section 1 is quite long. So paragraph 9 says, in brief, the Infinite Spirit testifies that, since he is eternal, so also is the central universe eternal. And this is the traditional starting point of the history of the universe of universes. Absolutely nothing is known and no records are in existence regarding any event or transaction prior to this stupendous eruption of creative energy and administrative wisdom that crystallized the vast universe which exists and so exquisitely functions at the center of all things. So they'll say that more than once in the Urantia book. And that's a great sentence, by the way, great paragraph, great ideas to read, take in terms of the Urantia book's proposal of truth. It's great ideas to take in, read, but they'll say that more than once. Not a lot, but they'll say it a couple different times, a couple different ways. I think that there's just nothing known prior to, no information known to any being before the creation of the Trinity, Paradise, and Havona. What does that mean really in the really big picture? I don't know. Anyone can conjecture, and the forward in the Urantia book tries to talk about the big picture of real eternity, or it doesn't try to, it does. The ideas are fairly hard to explain, I would say. There's a line in the Urantia book. Some author somewhere says the only inevitability that he sees, an author in the Urantia book, the only inevitability that he sees is the Trinity. The first, not the first, but the three members of the Trinity are the only inevitability that he sees. The only inevitability is the Trinity. Outside of the Trinity, nothing is an absolute inevitability. There's a statement in the Urantia book like that. 30 minutes and a half.